Naya here on the old Skype the old Skype here. You must have an on-set stylist. Uh, because you just every time you're on, I'm amazed by all the just the clothes and the hair and the whole 9 yards. I'm just blown away by this whole thing. I'm just like, really? You
Well, if anyone knows me, I am into jewelry, fashion, photography. I am into all that. If you know anything about me, it's gonna be it's gonna be all three put together. So
well, that is awesome. So we are gonna go to your next guest. Tina Rose is going to join us here in just a few seconds, and let's see if we can get the old Skype here to work. We'll see what happens, and it's always technology, and sometimes technology is against me. Hopefully, it won't be against me today, but we are going to go to Naya's next guest here on our program. And if you want to interact with Music Cap, you can do that on the old Facebook.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. How about you, James?
Pretty good, actually. Pretty good, actually. I have got the great Nia Lily here, the fantastic Nia Lily. Forget about what you've heard. She is the original gerbil in the batting cage, as I like to say. She has just in an amazing time done some amazing things, and I'm glad that I've got you and her together today. The website for the music is tinarosemusic.com, correct?
That's correct.
Awesome.
That's the website.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to get the heck out of the way and let the people with talent talk. So, Naya, go ahead and talk to Tina here.
well, thank you so much, Tina, for being on Music Cap. I do appreciate it. One thing I do want to go into, first of all, you do music and you also wrote a book. Is that correct?
Yes. The music kind of stemmed from what I do. I ghostwrite people's love letters.
Oh, yes,
I've been
yes. And
Yeah,
I'm
I've
sorry.
been doing it for so many years. Huh?
No, I said go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, I've been ghostwriting people's love letters for any type of relationship dynamic, for anything, for, gosh, 16, 17 years. And because I'm put words together, it kind of grew into a music thing. And I used to sing with an R&B band. And anyway, serendipity has it that I met somebody who loved my lyrics and introduced me to the Brothers Corin, and we created an album.
That's awesome. When I was reading on you, your book is called Heart Letters. So tell me, you said that you write, the book is about like
Okay.
like other people's relationships. Is that what you
Yeah.
said? Okay.
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
the name of the book is Relation Shift.
Oh,
How to
okay.
write the words for what you really want to say, and the product is is Inspired Heart Letters, kind of like iHeartRadio, but Inspired Heart Letters.
Okay. So, what in your music, despite your book, what
Mhm.
describe your music typically? Like, would you say it's kind of country, rock, R&B, jazz? Because I listened to some of it, and you got a saxophone in the beginning of one of your musics, which is kind of considered as jazz a little bit. So, do you consider your music being a little on the jazz side, or?
I would say it's actually it's a yeah, some all the songs are a little different, so it's not like, oh yeah, that's a Tina Rose song. No, they're a little bit different, and so I would say it kind of varies. So yeah, you're right. Some go into the jazz realm, R&B. Others are kind of actually, there's one that could be real country rock, and the rest are sort of acoustic rock. My own individual flavor in it, in each tune. I did not set out to write these tunes. It was weird. Can I tell you the story of how it started?
Yes, please. That's my next question. What you to get into the music?
Okay. So I started out writing a children's book called BFF, Be Friendship Focused. Yeah, and it was like anti-bullying and conflict resolution for kids and self-empowerment, because my daughter was 12 and she was being so bullied in middle school. And my background, I was a family therapist and school psychologist, and even though I was in the business, I wasn't really able to get her the help she needed for fending off these mean girls. I think they were mean because she was so beautiful. But anyway, that's my opinion. But so anyway, I wrote the book, and she and I created the A to Z power cards, kind of an inspirational character building, conversation opener card deck for kids. And I went around the United States speaking at like the National Mean Girls Conference. Yeah, that's true. They have that. And, and different, huh?
No. I was just laughing like, yes, they have one.
Oh, okay. So, I did this because my heart went out to the kids. And so I'm out there speaking at all these conferences, and I'm like, oh, wow, on the scary meter, what would be scarier than getting up and speaking in front of this huge room full of people? Would it be bungee cord jumping? Would it be skydiving? Oh, wait a second. How about singing in front of them? Oh, my God, yes. So I go home. And I thought, I got to take a singing class because I've always been a shower singer. And so I looked up a group singing class called Finding Your Voice, and I just started the class when I went to a friend's party. His house had burned down, and before they put the roof on, they hired this amazing R&B band. And we were up there dancing on, the rooftop of this house and having a great time. And the band leader, who was originally from Nashville, he looks down at me and he goes, well, I see you can dance, but can you sing? And I jumped up on that stage, grabbed the mic, and we sang Aretha Franklin's Natural Woman. It was a song my daughter and I used to sing together. And he goes, damn, we harmonize. Get down to my studio. I want to record you. And I was way too shy. So I took these group singing classes, and I looked him up 2 years later. And he remembered me, and he said, get down to the studio, and I mean it this time. And so I started singing for the R&B band while I'm a single mom, while I'm working, and I never really practiced with the band. And he had this granddaughter who was little. She was 6 years old in Nashville, and she had a real serious illness. One morning I wake up and I'm in like my neurotic meanderings, and I think of this little girl. And because I write letters for people, I also write eulogies, I write wedding vows, I write, you name it. And so I'm thinking of this little girl, and I just had this intuitive sense, because I'm very intuitive. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to transition. She's moving on. Why would her parents name her Patience? That was her name. And and so I started writing this poem about this sweet little girl I never met. And I get teary-eyed, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden, it was like a freight train coming down the track. All of a sudden, I was like, oh, I jump out of bed, and I go, my kingdom for a pen. I need to write this down. And it had nothing to do with this child, but it was my first song, which is called we called it Up in Smoke. And it's not Cheech and Chong, it's me. And so I called the band leader, and I said, hey, Michael, I just wrote this wrote this song. What do you think? And he goes, we're putting that one to music. And what that did at that moment was give me permission to really, tap into that side of me. So from that moment on, I would get like this tune come over my head. I'd have to pull off to the side of the road or wake up in the middle of the night or, whatever. And, I'd be out jogging and I'd come home and oh my God, I got to write this down. It was bizarre.
Right.
Yeah.
So would you say like your music, your inspiration came from like personal experience or like things that you have witnessed, things you have seen? That's where your motivation for your songs, your book, anything would you say they're from personal experiences?
I would say, yeah, it's personal experiences for sure. And because I've, helped people in such ways that tap into their most tender moments of their lives and what's, gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. And because I've always kind of rolled through life, I feel with an open heart and pretty transparent, pretty open. So I do share my feelings. I like to. And I think, our relationships, which most songs, a good many of them are about, the heart and relationships, are actually our best teachers.
Yes.
Without those rocks in the road, given the opportunity that is to reflect, pause, take a look at it, WTF, I don't care. But we learn from that.
Yes.
I grow from that. And so do my clients. When I help somebody ghostwrite a letter for them, and people are like, you what? You don't do that. And I'm like, yeah, I do, but I tap into their higher heart and I move past the ego. And when we move past ego in our song and we get down to the nitty-gritty of what really matters, especially, my gosh, this time on the planet, it's powerful.
So what you do inspires and moves, and does it change people's lives? Have you seen a change from, so to speak, your clients or the people that you help? Do you see them like moving forward in their future as far as a good change, or have you ever had some of them come back for more help, like saying, hey, you helped me this time and I need a little bit more help from you? Have you ever experienced that?
Okay, I'll give you a quick story. I'll give you two quickies. Well, okay. Let me just say this. So one woman approached me because she wanted to have an affair on her husband, and
wow.
she was in her 30s, and they'd been married for like 9 years, and they had two little kids, 3 and 5. And this man gave her a really nice lifestyle, and she didn't have to work or anything. They had an Olympic pool at their home, and I didn't know her. I met her at an event, and I said, why? And she said, because he's a complete boring computer nerd, and I can't take it any longer. And our lovemaking, if it wasn't for my great imagination, he thinks it's about him, huh? It was just, she was mad. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Exactly. So I said, let's go to lunch. So we went to lunch, and I drew from her those precious moments and why she married him to begin with, and the fact that he really was a good guy and he was thoughtful. And bottom line, she then said, okay, help me write a letter from my heart to him. I said, great. So I did. She called me and she said, I need that book immediately. Okay, she got the book. And then this is not psychotherapy when I work with people. So I work with a client and then send them off, and if they want to come back, great. In my process with them, I love to have a call back, after a little bit of time to see how they're doing. Anyway, I met with her a few months later, and I actually ran into her, and in town, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you can't believe how in love I am." And I said, "With who?" She said, "My husband." And I said, "Oh my gosh." I said, he liked that letter, huh?" And she said, "I never gave him the letter." I said, "What? You never gave him the letter?" And she goes, "No." She goes, "But I tease him about once a week, and I tell him, 'Hey, honey, I have the most passionate, fabulous letter you will ever, ever receive. And he really wants that letter.'" And I'm like, "Well, give it to him." And she goes, "No, I'd rather tease him. And I tell him it's going to be on his pillow one of these nights." And it drives him crazy. And I said, "Okay, so why are you in love? Tell me all about that." She said, "I read the letter." So by me tapping into her heart, her higher heart, not that ego, not that person that's upset, not that whiny person, if you will, or person that says, "My life sucks," and not really looking at what's real and true, but actually giving her the opportunity to view her through new eyes, she changed. I'll tell you one other quick story. I had a man who had not spoken to his daughter in 30 years. When he was young, he came from a Midwest farmer's family with a bunch of kids, and they were very staunch Catholics. He ended up in the seminary for a year when he was young. Then he gets drafted into the Vietnam War as a combat Marine.
Wow.
And comes back, and after the post-Vietnam War, a lot of the military, they were not received very well. They were not appreciated, and a lot of them had PTSD, undiagnosed. And I think that was the case with this man. His sister contacted me and said, "My brother, he had a little girl with his girlfriend. She didn't want to marry him." In my brain, I'm like, "Okay, was he drinking? What was going on?" And and so when the baby, and he did try to be in his daughter's life, with visitation and support and such. And when she was 12, the mother of their daughter, the ex-girlfriend, then said, "You know what? I'm getting married. Our daughter needs to have one whole family, no confusion, and I think it's best you step away," which told me there's something going on here. But he did. With tail between his legs, he moved back to the Midwest. He lived on the family farm. The parents died eventually, his parents, and he opened the farm to the homeless. He made it into a homeless shelter, which told me he had a good heart. He was a little broken,
Right.
or maybe a lot broken, yeah? So I never even met this man. I interviewed the sister because he had contracted an illness, and it was starting to affect, he had some swelling on the brain. I think it was called encephalopathy. And it looked like, his days on the planet were numbered. He probably had a few years left.
Mm-hmm.
And the sister said, "You know what, we want our niece back in our family. And I know it's been a thorn in his side and a deep wound, and he won't even talk about it. But I did. I spoke to him about it, and he wants your help." Okay, so I write the letter. She flies back to see the brother. It was Father's Day, and he's watching the Catholic Sunday program on TV, and the topic was about the importance of the father-daughter connection. Well, and so the sister said after the TV show, she reaches into her purse and hands him the letter I wrote for him, the Inspired Heart letter, and she said, "This is your letter you wanted, and I'll leave you with it." She came back half an hour later, tears were streaming down his face. The daughter received the letter. The letter she sent back was so touching that when a copy was shared with me, I cried. Anyhow, She ended up going back. Yeah, she went back and spent a good part of the rest of his life, including being by his bedside when he passed, and they healed that terrible wound. So that's just, I've written over 400 letters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's why my book, Relation Shift, How to Write the Words You Really Want to Say, and it's by my christened name or my married name or whatever it is. It's Christine with a K, Christine Grant. And if anyone in the audience wants to go to my website, www.kristine grant.com, I'm happy to meet with you. Just get on my calendar and I'll talk to you and help you find your relationship with a complimentary 20-minute discovery call or consult, if that's helpful.
I do have so with what you say you do in relationships, as far as writing letters, inspiring people, and changing lives. Now this is on a different note. My question is, do you, and I'm not saying psychic wise or anything like that. I'm not saying, oh my God, but you feel that you get help from a higher source to help these people? Like, do you feel that your word has, because they say God speaks to us in mysterious ways. God speaks to people through others, through maybe literature that we read, maybe, people, do you feel that the work that you do you were blessed, like this was your calling? How do you feel about that?
Oh, thank you for asking that beautiful question, because you are right on. It is my calling. It is so weird. This letter writing evolved kind of like my music. Somebody asked for my help and I gave it to them, and I ended up writing a note to the person they were interested in having the relationship issue resolved. I mean, just as a friend, and the results were phenomenal. And then that person kept asking me for more letters, and people started calling me from around the United States. The thing is we get in our own way, and I don't possess someone's ego, but yes, absolutely, it's channeled. I feel, if I might say, that I am a instrument for peace, a conduit with God's grace that comes through me, because I have this uncanny way of understanding the dynamics before anybody tells me the whole story. I feel and know how the person, the recipient, whom I've never met at all, is going to receive the message. And it's like music, it's like poetry, it's like even conversation. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you write, but how those words, which have a frequency, how they are received. That's how. So I will. I'm getting chills having this conversation with you. That's how much I love that question, because not everybody asks it, and it's true. Someone will have their agenda about what they want me to say, and I will say emphatically, no, I'm hearing this. I know this. This is what I'm going to do for you, because we're on such tender turf right now on the planet, where people are so vulnerable and we're sensitive. And it's so true. It started out with children. I love children, and to see children treat each other like that, it's not about them wanting to be mean. It's about them not feeling loved themselves or loving themselves enough. So that's where it all starts with, who am I? Am I a child of God? So yeah.
Hearing what you do, hearing your story, how you started doing this and why, and hearing how you've helped people. That's why I asked that question, because a lot of us, we hear it from friends, we hear it from our mom. Our mom can tell us, don't touch the fire. but then we grow up and someone says it in a different tone or maybe in a different way, and then we're like, oh, I better not touch that fire, or and it's just like, you, like you said, it's the way it comes out in a different tone, different way. And God, like I said, God speaks to us in mysterious ways. He uses those channels from his helpers, from, he opens the mouth of those of his disciples, and they speak to us. And, because he can't be here, he definitely can't tell us how he feels. So he opens those ways. And it's up to us to open our eyes and actually heed the message that he does provide for us through his disciples or through ways or through people. So that's why when I said, when you write these letters and you're helping those and like I said, it makes you feel that, like, hey man, I'm getting this stuff from, this, it just comes to me. And that's why, and like you said, you're putting your own life into what you're doing. It's not so much as you're just doing this actually is something personal to you. So you can actually say that you went through this. That is why you're going out helping others. Because this is something you experienced and you came through it, you lived through it. Anyone, and if you've done it, anyone can. So that's why I'm like, because even talking to you, like you said, you're getting chills. I'm getting chills because I'm like, wow, it's awesome. Matters individual. It's just amazing. So what I was, have you ever helped a close like friend of yours that that you thought was not going to, your method was not going to work, but it then all of a sudden it did. So have you ever just shocked yourself in your work?
Wow. Let me think on that one in particular. I feel when I'm getting these downloads and I'm creating these messages and these inspired heart letters, I really feel that I am guided, and I don't question it. I really don't. I have no. It's my joy. There's no anxiety related. There's I guess the last story I shared about the woman saying she shared it with her husband, and she read the letter, meaning she got the message that she needed. That was a pleasant surprise. I didn't know it would go down like that, but. Yeah, no, I do feel my own life is a tapestry. I left home at a very young age. My life was not a simple one, and I've had so many chapters in my own life. I feel like I've lived a zillion lifetimes in this one. And through some of my experiences, and my next book is I'm already writing it, is my memoirs about encountering near-death experiences, not once, not twice, not thrice, but over again, and not ever, for whatever reason, holding anger, upset at the perpetrator. Why? Why did they do that? But thank God I didn't, because who would I be carrying around a baggage of wounds? I say we all do have emotional baggage, but honestly, only one carry-on's allowed. Everything else is just a little too costly,
Yes.
Yeah.
So with your book, where can people find it at? Like where are the ways they can look you up, find you? You mentioned it a little bit before, but like where can anyone just go out, if they're listening to this, can go out and find your book?
Okay, and thank you so much. It is, and I'm very proud to say it was endorsed by wonderful luminaries in the relationship and the love field, such as John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Catherine Woodward Thomas, Calling in the One, Conscious Uncoupling, Dr. Christiane Northrup, Ariel Ford, and all of those people I never looked for. I have, quote, God sent them to me. I happened to meet them. It's weird. But anyway, let's get back to how the audience can read my downloaded messages. The book is comprised, it's sort of like Chicken Soup for the Soul, in that I tell the story, the challenge. Then the medicine is the letter. And then the aftermath, the aha moment, is the lesson learned, and then the pearls of wisdom. So that's sort of the formula. So it's not like I'm lecturing to anybody. I believe it's a good read. I had one doctor who endorsed me in his book, so he cried through it. So I'm just saying you might need a little hanky here and there. But anyway, it's called Relation Shift. And the subtitle is How to Write the Words You Really Want to Say. So I have a whole chapter in helping the reader to upgrade their ability to move out of their own way and write their compelling message as well. So it can be found through Amazon. It's published through Beyond Publishing, so it's in Barnes & Noble as well. But Amazon is an easy place to find it. By Christine with a K Grant, Relation Shift. And also my website has the link. And my website is www.christine, K-R-I-S-T-I-N-E, grant.com. And if anyone's interested, just hit the tab at the top of the website page, and I'm happy to meet with you, complimentary of the station. So what else? And then the music is my artist name, which is a derivative of mine, because my middle name's Rose. So it's tinarose.com, and my website there is tinarosemusic.com. So I know Leon Russell's daughter is Tina Rose. I didn't realize that. But so I'm tinarosemusic.com, and I have a 10-song album called Love Letters. Gee, I wonder why. So every song is a story. Every letter is a story. And I say, let's make happy endings, right?
Yes. Oh, my God. Well, you an inspiration. Just what you're doing is inspiration, and you're truly blessed. And I want to thank you so much for allowing me to ask you questions and get into the history of what you're doing. It's very touching, and I can't thank you enough for what you're doing.
Yeah,
well,
you're amazing.
It was a blessing for me to be on your show, so thank you.
You're amazing, Tina. Well, I appreciate you making time, and Naya, we will talk to you next week, my friend.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Naya.
And we are going to go to the Sunday show here on 990 WBOB.